Welcome to the last session of this conference. My name is Ki-Joon from Korea. I have to say that I'm not a scientist. I'm student of political science. This is the first experience participating,
a bit closer.
Participating natural science conference. So during over the couple of days, I try to learn, I try to understand many different concepts and theories from your presentations. And I was very impressed by your enthusiasm for reaching absolute truth as a science. My topic is social resonance in passive emergence. Probably you may know the concept of emergence or resonance already, but these two words has not been used in social science or political science. So I try to apply these two concepts to social science actually. I encountered these two words in my academic journey. Emergence is defined as like this. The whole is more than some of its parts. It can also be expressed like this. Emergence can come out of complex interactions among components. Yet, it is not reducible to the properties of a component. You can experience many properties of emergence in our life. For example, good example of emergence is water. Water, as you know, consists of oxygen and hydrogen and oxygen, H2O. But the oxygen and oxygen cannot explain the property of water, right? So that's a good example. And flower. If you look at the flower, flower is so beautiful. Beauty of flower cannot be explained the component of the flower, right? And we have talked about consciousness during this conference. Our consciousness is a typical example of emergence. Consciousness or soul cannot be explained by the component of our body. And music, when you listen to music, it's so beautiful. It's music made out of the perfect harmony of different sounds. So I would say those kind of things can be understood as emergence. And second word is resonance. During this conference, so many people mentioned this. But I had experience. Everybody pray for their wishes. If we pray, the prayer works. Not always, but very often. Somebody go to church for their wishes, somebody go to temple for their wishes, and so on and so forth. But their prayers are responded by something, right? We don't know what that is. Probably we may say God. Back in 1990, when I was a student in Belgium, I had a disaster. It was in 30th of June, I remember. I went to church. After I came back from church, I found out that my room was burned down. My room was burned down. So I lost everything as a poor student. It was set by, intentionally set by the owner of the building for insurance, high insurance. So I pray that please God solve this issue, this issue within 1 year. Within 1 year. I strongly pray, I would say. What happened was exactly 1 year later, on 30th of June 1991, I got a letter from the insurance company that I could receive insurance even though I don't have insurance at the time. So what is it? Probably the believers may say God responded to prayer. But I think that there must be some principle we don't understand exactly. Probably later on I come up with the concept of resonance. Probably resonance works because I strongly wish touch upon some energy we don't understand. And so later on, I knew that resonance can explain many different kinds of paranormal phenomena. We have already discussed so far. And also, dream. I'm thinking I have thought about dream. Every night, people have a dream, right? And in the morning, they wake up, and they try to understand what is this. But probably you don't understand exactly why such a dreaming came to our mind at a certain time. I also had many different dreams. Even last night I had a dream. In my dream, my nephew had an accident. This was very vivid. My nephew was hit by somebody. Why such a thing, happened in our brain? That's the dreaming. Very, very mysterious. So that I'm thinking, as a result of, knowing the concept of syntropy, probably, dreaming maybe the connection of the information from the past and information from the future. So those informations came together in our brain, and then it makes some stories. And sometimes the dreams tell us what will happen in the future. I have many experiences. Probably you also have same experiences. What do you see? It's very mysterious to me. So I read the Chris King's article, the New York Times super causality. This paper was very difficult for me because he used a lot of mathematics to explain the super causality. But in the later part of his article, he mentioned me. So I thought it's a part of his article. Paradoxically, it's an even more extreme case in which brain activity is similar to walking, but the subject instead has the vivid experiences of dreaming. Several commentators have noted apparent violations of causal determinism in dreaming, involving pre-perception of subsequent waking experience. And he also mentioned one interesting aspect of dreaming may be that time is symmetric between future and past. Experiences giving rise to powerful instances of causality violating phenomena. So probably syntropy or super causality may explain dreaming our dream. A long time ago, Freud tried to explain dreaming, but he argued that a dream is based on our unconsciousness, particularly our id. But I don't think he's right. So probably he should change his theory according to the advanced science. So I think that the resonance and emergence probably can be a key to unlock the universal mysteries. As a social scientist, I try to apply the two concepts, emergence and resonance, to social phenomena. In social science, many social scientists have discussed emergent properties that generated the link between micro-individual actions and the macro-social structure by the notion of social emergence. So our society is regarded as a complex system which cannot be explained by the individual actions. There are many discussions, debates on the relationship between micro level of individuals and macro level of society as a whole. Different perspectives. But they have a consensus on this emergent discourse. They agree that many components interact in densely connected social networks. We can agree this. And global system functions cannot be localized to any one subset of components. The overall system cannot be decomposed into subsystems in any meaningful fashion. And the components interact using a complex and sophisticated language. So it's very interesting to know that the social scientists mention communication, symbolic communication, as a component for social emergence. But they only hint that symbolic communication is the most important missing link in social emergence. But they have not succeeded in explaining the mechanism by which symbolic communication, how symbolic communication contribute to the social emergence in macro link. So this is the motivation for me to research on this topic. I got a clue to social emergence, luckily by reading David Bohm's book entitled The Whole is and the Implicated Order, on the basis of the quantum theory, of course. He introduced a new paradigm, in which whole universe can be explained by the transition from implicate order to explicate order. So according to him, the implicate order is a field of potentiality in which reality exists hold up in nature and gradually unfold into an explicate order with multiple dimensional realities. In terms of the quantum theories, the implication order is actually another level for what the quantum physicists call the universal wave functions. So such a wave function include both the objective potentialities for experience and also the magnitude of sentient social beings moving through the wave function and thereby unfolding the experience. So this was also mentioned, discussed in this conference. I think that if this paradigm is universal in nature, probably it may be applicable to social phenomena plus social order. So what I'm trying to do is to apply his theoretical paradigm to explain social order, social change, and so on and so forth. There are some assumptions in my research. So I try to focus on social institutions particularly. Social institutions is a part of a society. Social institutions can be seen as socially manifested explicit order, unfolded through the web function of intersubjective symbolic communication within the field of potential social consciousness. David Bohm's theory provides an important clue to the question I investigate. He did not spell out the mechanism of micro-macro link through a symbolic communication. He didn't mention how symbolic communication can contribute to social emergence. So in order to provide a new kind of epistemological map for better understanding of the mechanism of micro-macro link, I call the term passive emergence. That's a theory. I have to say theory, but I'm not sure yet. So passive emergence theory suggests 4 mechanisms or illustrative metaphors. That is morphogenetic field and social resonance and self-organized criticality and co-evolution. So I'm going to explain this later. As I mentioned, the research question is how can you explain social emergence that is generated in a link between micro-macro link, micro-level individual action and the macro-level social structure. And what's the role of symbolic communication in social emergence, and how passive emergence theory provides a better understanding of the social emergence. That's the basic, research questions in my okay. In social science, there are theories on institutionalism. Particularly recently, social scientists debated on this issue because institution is a very important component of our society, and this is a very dynamic variable to understand our social behavior. I try to define social institutions from social emergence perspective. Social institutions are typically defined as a complex of positions, roles, norms, and values, lodged in a particular type of social structures, and organizing relatively stable pattern of human activity. This is a typical definition of social institutions. Given this definition, social institutions can be regarded as emergent social properties, social entities, bridging micro-individual actions and macro-social structure as a whole. So I define social institutions as a kind of a bridge between individuals and the society as a whole. This emergentist view logically postulates that the embodied habit and skills of symbolic communication that are embedded in human body, or probably in our human brain and mind, are causally effective in social emergence. So this is the new perspective to understanding social institutions. Now I'd like to briefly introduce new institutionalism in social science. There are different branches of new institutionalism. First one is rational choice institutionalism. rational choice institutionalism basically focus on the micro level of analysis of individuals as a rational actors. They basically believe that human beings are rational actors. And our actions or behaviors can be understood by the laws of calculation. We act on the basis of on the basis of the calculus to maximize our interest. They also believe that social institutions constrain individual interactions by affecting the range and the sequence of alternatives on the choice agenda or by providing information and enforcement mechanism. So our behaviors are restrained by existing social institutions. But the problem of rational choice institutionalism is that they regard actors' preferences as fixed. They don't explain why particular preferences generated or created in our society. And the second branch of new institutionalism is historical institutionalism. Historical institutionalists are more interested in the macro level of analysis, particularly focusing on institutional arrangement in particular locations at particular times, the fashion as a result of a long-term historical development. We try to look at historical development to understand the creation or change of social institutions. Particularly, they have developed a logic of dependence to explain institutional self-reinforcement mechanism. Past-dependent theory. Simply say that we can understand that history matters. What happened in the past affect presence or presence. And once a past is taken, there is a tendency that the past tend to be possessive, tend to continue. Once any kind of institutions is established, the institution tend to self-reinforce itself and prolong. They tend to pay more attention to the issue of deterministic reproduction mechanisms, while acknowledging the possibility of changes at cultural countries. Well, actually, this theory was a motivation for me to develop the passive emergence. I tried to explain the self-enforcement of institutions on the basis of the past-dependent theory, but the past-dependent theory may well explain the change of institutions, change of social models, so that I try to develop the passive emergent theory as an alternative or complementary to passive-dependent theory. The historical institutionalists think that preferences are not given as rational choice institutionalists argue, but as something caused by a bounded rationality. Our preferences are created by situated institutions. The second branch is sociological institutionalism. Sociological institutionalists tend to focus on both micro and macro level interactions, emphasizing the highly interactive and mutually constitutive character of the relationship between individual actions and social institutions. This theory mainly developed by sociologists. Institutional creation, transformation, and evolution follow what they call a logic of appropriate needs. If institutions are legitimate, the institution can maintain nor sterilize. If it is not illegitimate, the institution may change, simply say. Institutional innovation may proceed unintended consequences when the reforms are inconsistent with the prevailing normative of a social structure. Lastly, discursive institutionalism. This is a new version, the latest version of institutionalism in social science. Discursive institutionalists are interested in the role of ideas or discourse, in shaping actors' preferences and discourse, through which ideas are generated and communicated. Social institutions are simultaneously constraining structures and enabling construct of meaning that are internal to reflexive agents who consciously change their institutions. This approach provides an important clue to the missing link in social emergence by pointing to communicative action as an essential factor. So they emphasize the role of our ideas, or our values, or discourse, or communication, and so forth. So probably you may draw some ideas from this branch of institutionalism to understand social emergence. But the problem is that each branch of new institutionalism explains on its own rationale only a part of the entire fashion of micro-macro link, so that they do not seem to be adequate for social emergence. All branches of institutionalism do not address emergent property in micro-macro link. Any better account for social emergence should mention the parts, that means individuals, the whole, that means for society, and the relationship between individuals and societies synchronously, synchronously. So we have to those components or relations at the same time. Now, I'd like to explain some essence of passive emergence. As I mentioned, passive emergence theory draws on David Bohm's quantum mechanics thesis of the unbroken whole is the totality of existence as an undivided flowing movement without borders. So that means everything is interconnected with everything else in our whole universe. Implicate order is the primordial reality in which the totality of existence is enfolded within each region of time and space. Implicate order gradually unfolds into an indefinite and dimensional explicate order, enabling organization to emerge. So when we try to apply this thesis to social phenomena, the implicates, we may say that the implicate social order can be considered as a field of proto-information, which has been previously enfolded into the field of potentiality by countless individual social actions in the past. And the perceptual and intentional information that has been enfolded into the field of the past by all sentient individuals is unfolded into an explicit social order by resonant communication. This postulation is based on the fact that neurological encoding is a quantum electric process that originates in and sustained continuously by brain resonance. So there is many empirical evidence about these, as you know. Evolving rational relationship in a social field embody social symbiosis through a complex level of symbolic communication. The amplified cognitive functions of processing, retaining and using coded information trigger the appearance of an explicit social order, probably that is social institutions, that often involves emergent properties exhibiting a new pattern of relationship or connections. Actually, that is what I'm trying to say in my paper. Now, I'd like to explain the four mechanisms underlying passive emergent theories. What is a morphogenetic field? I borrowed this term from the biology. Morphogenetic field are the archetypal repertoire for describing social orders. Morphogenetic field are derived from the previous similar field of the past that are formed by the epigenetic informational transmission of preferences. Our social field, that is a morphogenetic field, is determined by our previous information or our preferences. But I think that the preferences have been endogenously shaped, not exogenously, endogenously shaped by the fitness motive for survival in an evolutionary dynamic involving the interaction of gene and culture. Our preferences have been decided by the evolution of gene and culture. That's what I say. Social orders are held together by normative values that are transmitted from generation to generation through the symbolic communication. American philosopher in early 20th century, Charles Peirce also mentioned that there is global increase in the development of information storage system that allow complex processes to automatically occur in localized circumstances without repeatedly creating all of the conditions necessary to produce those processes in the first place. He also postulate a condition of proto-consciousness. That's a kind of vibration that acts and is once acted upon by its action causing a kind of echo resonance. He didn't actually mention the term resonance. He mentioned just the echo, but exactly echo means resonance in our context. He also mentioned that the habitual semiotic pattern arose by repeated symbolic communication shapes the symbolic structures through a social symbiosis within the morphogenetic field. So very interesting to know that Charles Peirce also tried to explain the same thing. Now, social resonance. Social resonance, I define as an intersubjective synchronous emulation by which a passive emergence from an implicate order, social order, to an explicit social order is evolved. As energetic resonance occurs in nature, as the tendency of a system to oscillate at the maximum amplitude at certain frequencies. So social resonance may occur in a cross-section perceptual link within and between individuals. The fundamental intersubjective nature of mirror neurons in human brains enables us to get into the world of social relationship. during the conference, some participants mentioned the mirror neurons. It was also proved that it's difficult. The action schema in which the perception of things originate is simultaneously entangled in rational relations with the partial relations of others, and this intersubjectivity is in turn elemental to our disposal of others' movement. So social resonance have impact on our behavior as well as others' behavior. Sort of social resonance. This rational recognition is tightly intertwined with the action-charged context in which the movement takes place. Social resonance consequently leads to the formation of terminal logic based on social preferences. Terminal logic is quite an important concept in passive methods. A terminal logic is represented by increase of density of a shared cognitive map among the dominant correlation of social actions. Now we have a conference about the syntropy, life energy, and resonance. So yeah, we have I assume that kind of social resonance take place among us ourselves, and there must be some terminal logic, probably. Syntropy may emerge out of these social interactions. The self-organized spirituality consists of two concepts. Self-organization refers to the ability of certain systems to develop structures and patterns, often without explicit pressure or involvement from outside the system. And criticality refers to the state that the marginal stability reaches at a critical point of a phase of transition leading to sudden events of small size. So according to this concept, probably social institutions can be conceived as a recursive self-organizing system with communications as its basic element, in that all social organizing systems generate information throughout communication. As a result of their recursive interactions in social systems, a social information complex emerges as a macroscopic structure. As an act of cooperation, mediated by act of communication, that in turn are mediated by social resonance. Our cooperation may originate from self-organized criticality, the dynamics of self-organized criticality. These coordinate their actions in such a manner that they produce a common social information complex. As far as the various layers of communication are reflexively differentiated in the social information complex, the higher order communication system may exhibit self-organized capability. If the underlying communication process breaks down, then probably the system may also collapse, as its self-organizing dynamics evaporate at the critical juncture of a pace transition. So the communication, the flow of communication is very important element in stability of any kind of institutions. Now, coevolution. Gene and culture coevolution hold that both genes and culture are informational entities that are differentially transmitted from one generation to the next generation, and that the culture is directly encoded into the human brain by means of symbolic representations in the form of a cultural artifact. It is preferences, I think, that shape the institutional setup of a society, while many social institutions exert its influence on the human preferences within the society. So, human cognitive, affective, and moral capacities are the product of this coevolutionary process that is responsible for the salience of social values. We have values, social values. It can be a product of gene and culture coevolution. Recently, but there are also many different theories. The interactions between gene and culture. What is more predominant in the core gene and culture coevolution? Many different views. But recently, new theories came up. The notion of niche construction theory actually provide a new conceptual framework to integrate human approaches to the role of culture as a selective force in human evolution. So niche construction means the phenomenon of a species creating an important aspect of its environment and stably transmitting this environment across generations. This theory claims that a genetically induced environmental regularity becomes the base for genetic selection, and gene mutations that give rise to a novel niche element will survive if they are fitness enhancing for their constructions. So I think that from this perspective, social institutions can be seen as a cultural niche construction using signs or signals or any kind of artifact. So now I'd like to summarize what I explained so far. Past emergence in social order unfold through mechanical occurrence of a morphogenetic field, social resonance, social self-organized capability, and coevolution. All social orders are produced, displaced, communicated, and transformed through intersubjective interactions that are ruled by quantum mechanics. The intersubjective interactions through symbolic communication are inseparable from quantum electric resonance functions in our human brain and gene and culture-based interactions in the social environment. The fortuitous combination arrangement and organization of these complexities generate a certain kind of nobility in the social field that may be again unfold into an aggregate social order as potentials through the same mechanisms. I can say that the change of social order can happen, endlessly, as a kind of a circle from implicate social order to explicit social order. Then how passive emergence theory explain institutional dynamics? So I compare the new institutionalism and my passive emergence theory. Preferences are endogenously acquired by inheritance and learning in an individual pursuit of a fitness for survival with a particular spatial-temporal condition of a specific morphogenetic field. But the new institutionalism explained different way, as you remember. Individual preferences are susceptible to the co-evolutionary interaction of gene and cultures. Ceaselessly, and social preferences are shaped by the aggregation of individual preferences through resonant communication by linguistic symbols. Social institutions are created when social preferences are recursively internalized by reflexive individuals as a set of norms throughout the socialization process. The relationship between individuals and social institutions is explained in terms of a triadic reciprocal causation, by which internal dispositions, behavioral patterns, and institutional settings all operate as interacting determinants that influence each other. Social institutions are considered as an information complex that is composed of symbols, ideas, values, and cultural artifacts. Social institutions propagate information by self-organizing dynamics, forming a cognitive and normative structure. Social institutions change when they lose robustness by the evaporation of self-organizing dynamics at the critical juncture, critical point of a phase transition. So institutional robustness diminishes when the necessary amount of required information does not flow between social actors. Social resonance no longer functions, and consequently, the nominal logic shaped by social resonance loses saliency. The change of a nominal logic may lead to institutional change gracefully or suddenly, depending on the intensity of criticality. The potentiality of social emergence is involved within the morphogenetic field from the past as an implicate order that is gradually unfolded into emergent social properties of the micro-macro link through the dynamics of social resonance, self-organized equality, energy, and culture evolution. Social intelligence for cooperation, probably you have to build up the social intelligence for centropy from this purpose. It's the most distinctive property that emerges in the micro-macro link where symbolic communication is fundamental. Social emergence in the micro-macro link can be seen as a kind of a hollow movement according to a David Bohm, from an implicate order to an explicate order. Now, conclusion is very simple. I think that passive emergent theory shows that the human capacity for symbolic communication is fundamental to social emergence in the micro-macro link. And passive emergent theory is consistent with the fundamental assumption of quantum physics. That is, everything is interconnected with everything. And everything is involved into everything through quantum information processing. I think that passive emergent theory may offer a new kind of paradigm to explain or study life emergence, life energy or syntropy and resonance, particularly with regard to the linkage between individuals and social institutions. That is my end of my presentation. Thank you. Any comments, questions? Yes?
Does your, I'm not sure whether your theory allows for the evidence that large groups of people meditating can exert influences in the outside world. There are large groups meditating for peace, and there's evidence that they actually have an effect. I'd like to know your opinion.
Yeah, actually that is the problem. The problem is, resonance can be explained mathematically in natural science. But when we try to apply the notion of resonance to social phenomena, it's really difficult to provide empirical evidence. That's why I came here to learn. How can we provide empirical evidence to support this theory. Yeah, because theoretically, it may be possible. Social resonance may be possible without the social emergence may be possible without the social resonance. Sounds good, but as a social scientist, it's very difficult to provide empirical evidence or experiment. So I hope that you can advise me how to deal with this problem. Yeah.
Your idea of social resonance is very interesting, as we can see that our social organism or society is becoming more and more interconnected. Also, information is the result of this or form how to make everything more and more interconnected and more dynamic. So we live now in an information era. So your idea that the social organism can come to higher level of interconnectedness, and at this level, I think also that the resonance between subjects is very important, as it can take them to the higher level of our subjectivity and spirituality. So, can you say if you use some methods for take individual people to higher level of their spiritual evolution, and so I think that this is the way how to create more better society. So this is my question is, do you have some ideas what the methods can be used to take people to higher level of not only individual evolution but also evolution of social organism?
No idea so far.
What?
No idea.
No idea.
No, yeah. But in social science, you can simply say that, for example, judgment revolution. You know what happened in the Middle East countries in the last years can be explained by social resonance. Everybody has the same idea, same aspiration for political change, which end up with social revolution, political revolution. So judgment revolution. And also the end of communism in 1989. There are many theories to explain why the communism suddenly collapsed in 1989. I explain the collapse of the communism in 1989 by referring to my theoretical framework, right? And which was published in the International Political Science Review. That is published by the International Political Science Association. So that why it happened? Because of the social resonance in the Eastern European countries, the NGOs, civil NGO, human rights organizations, raise issues on the basis of the norm in Helsinki Final Act in 1975. Do you know about the Helsinki Final Act? Which was the document, agreement between the Eastern Bloc and the Western Bloc in 1975. They agreed that the human rights issue, they agreed the human rights as an important component of international relations. So on the basis of the norm of human rights, the Eastern European civil NGOs raised their voice against the communist parties, communist government. So we can, at least we can explain the global level of social change by using this conceptual framework. And I explain the morphogenetic field and the social resonance and the self-organizing criticality and co-evolution. But I try to now develop theory itself more finely But probably the social scientists asked me to provide empirical evidence. But still, I don't have any answer to that. Yes.
First of all, thank you very much. As a non-Westerner, you were brilliant in the use of so many interesting concepts. I was just writing them down here. So, first of all, I want to congratulate you for your deep reflection. Secondly, I was very curious as to what's happening in Korea, because in Korea, you're really dynamically changing your society, digitizing it. You live with smartphones. Probably instead of giving a baby a name, you give the baby a password. Now, my question is this. You're talking about synchronously interconnecting people. Does that mean that Samsung will now come not just with a smartphone, but a smart brain? Will they start to implant, both in our conscious and our unconscious minds, some kind of electronic communication device? Could that be?
Well, it's a very difficult question. Of course, Korea is a very, one of the most advanced country for information society. Everybody use, imagine almost everybody carries a smartphone, even young children. So they always communicate each other through the mobile phone. And probably, the increase of flow of information or communication may have a tremendous impact on the society as a whole. Now, Korean culture is certainly booming. You see, as you see the, for example, Psy, Gangnam Style. You see, you know that, you know him, Gangnam Style, Psy, the world star, Korean world star. Everybody knows. Certainly, Korean culture is booming. Movie was sports and art, and music. Probably, I cannot explain the relationship between the increase of information and the booming of culture, but there must be some correlation, I would say. But I can't explain exactly what the Samsung is doing. And
so where I'm going with this is that because of that communication, we can listen in now not only to the conversations, but the thinking of individuals. We can create digital footprints of everybody. And then we use the power of the NSA in the US to monitor it and to pinpoint devious behavior, and then to take corrective action. We have the cloud, we have apps, we have big data. I really am saying this because it can go in the wrong direction as well. And we lose the individual uniqueness rather than, and have a collective sameness. So the implications of what you said are, in one sense, brilliant, but in the other sense, a bit frightening.
Yes, I think, yeah, probably. They are too much addicted. They are too much addicted to SNS through mobile, cell phone, or internet. That's a serious problem we are facing actually. Even my children are always. we don't have time to communicate each other because they always looking at. But they communicate each other. I mean, with their friends, but not parents. Yeah, the other side of the coin actually. Yeah. So we have to solve maybe this problem in the information society. I agree.
Okay, I would thank you. Or do we have a question more?
It's an easy one.
Yes. Okay.
Or not.
I don't know.
Can you define or describe the word love in your
Easy question.
That doesn't fit or not.
We talked, about the system of previous. Attraction and compulsion is a two important forces, I think, underlying the universe or universe. So, technically, attraction, and maybe it can be regarded as a law, is the most important. So that we need social resonance. This is for social resonance. We attract each other for building same values, right?
Yeah.
So love, attraction, is the most important value. Okay, thank you.